So it's the 4th of August and I want to do a little walk around, a little tour of my bonsai, um, sort of mid to late summer 26. So this is my Acer Campastre. I bought this from Greenwood Bonsai and it was basically a cut-in when I bought it, and it's come on from there. I've wired this one down slightly and I've wired a slight bit of movement in the trunk. This top section here is a sacrifice branch and that will be removed, but it's got 3 branches in really good positions. This was the lowest, second and third branch, and I'm very happy with its direction. It's going to look good in the next few years. In fact, it'll look good for the rest of its life now the trunk has been shaped. Okay, so this is my blackthorn, and I've been working on this for about 5-6 years, and I've selected a few branches and I need to work on the apex, but it's coming along quite nicely. This is my Acer Shiraswawan Moonrise, and I've finally come up with a front and a direction for this tree. So I've wired the main trunk, the leader, and I'm going to be removing this part of the tree in the coming years, in the coming year maybe. This is my Yamadori Copper Beech, and it's looking a little bit chaotic at the moment. Some of these extensions are getting long, but it's got a really nice shape to it. The apex is looking good, it's got good taper and it's coming on. I bought this year. This was bought as a small bonsai, and it was quite long. It had a really long internode, so what I needed to do was remove that as best I could. So I took a big section of that tree apart and we'll see how it goes. This is my air layered Shoujo. I have been trimming it down and pruning it throughout the year, but it needs looking at. That'll be pruned back severely at the end of summer. This is my Shoujo. This is still a work in progress. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to air layer parts of this in the future, but it's absolutely stunning. The leaf colours on this one is outstanding. Okay, down here we've got a this is a Katsura maple, and I'm in the process of developing the branches. This was a big tree, and I air layered the top section of this tree this year, and that air layer has taken, and I will show you that later. But this is going to make an interesting tree at some point. As you can see, I'm just growing on that leader and thickening that leader and the trunk, but it's already got nice shape. Whilst I'm down here, this is my Sangakaku. Still looking quite good. Some of the growth has become a little bit sparse and spindly after I pruned it, but it's doing quite well and it should look very nice next year. This is so this was an air layer last year. It was quite a nice thick air layer, and I potted it up, and this year I air layered the top section off this air layer, and that air layer has also taken, but it did get infected. It had like a fungal infection, and I had to take the top section of this original air layering off. So I've been left with essentially what is just a stump in a pot with one branch. So I'm going to try and thicken that one branch up and get the proportions right, and then I will create a bonsai out of that. I'm going to pot that up. I'm going to put it in a bigger pot next year. So back up here, this is my Ukigummo. This year I fertilized it quite heavily, so the white leaves aren't white, they're green. So that's the reason why it's not quite Ukigummo like. I've done a bit of pruning, pruned this bottom branch, these two branches, and this branch here needs to go. I'll take it off here. Hopefully there'll be a bud coming out this sort of direction. I'll leave that white leaf there, should be where the leader buds out from. This one was a disaster at the start of this year. I was going to make a video on it, and I ended up dropping it and snapping the top section of this this plant off, this maple off, and yeah, I had to cut it off. So it's got a really unusual shape. We'll see how that turns out. This is my Baihu. I thought it was a lost cause, but I managed to come up with a design for it, and it looks like it could potentially be an interesting tree in the future. I am not sure what this is, but this is unbelievably stunning. Such a beautiful tree, really short internodes, small leaves, beautiful colour, and yeah, this one is probably my favourite maple that I've got. What I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this lower branch and keep these two higher branches, and it's got a really elegant sweeping arc, beautiful line on it, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how that one progresses. So here we have an absolutely gorgeous plant. Look at this, Orido Nishiki, absolutely stunning. A really nice Nabari root flare on there. That needs looking at, but I've developed a really nice line to this Orido Nishiki, and it's going to look really interesting in the future. This one is my Contifloria, and yeah, there's a little bit of wire on there. I've got I've got 4 branches. The branch at the back, 2 coming out of either side, and the leader, it was curving back on itself. It was looking like a swan neck. So what I did was I just put a little bit of wire on there just to straighten that out. But yeah, that's coming along very nicely. We're getting some good taper on there. It'll look really good over the next few years. Katsura, a little Katsura, I'm just letting this grow on. Got 2 branches that I'm letting grow out. Little rose that I'm making into a bonsai. This is my little princess, but it's got a really nasty, it looks like it's going to die to me. There's not much I can do about it. It's too low to cut out, but that fungal infection is probably going to kill off this tree. I'm not sure how it got it or why it got it. I did do a little bit of root work at the beginning of spring this year. Maybe that had an effect on it, but it was growing out really nicely, and then all of a sudden it got a fungal infection. I'm not sure what this one is. It has some really interesting leaves though. I'm going to air layer this top section off. I think it has potential to be an interesting bonsai, so we'll see. It's ugly, it's got lots of scars on it, lots of cuts, and yeah, it needs a lot of work. It's never going to be the prettiest tree in my collection. Okay, so big hawthorn there, that needs looking at. It's not really a bonsai, but yeah, it's a big bush. My what is it called now? Hydrangea. Words escape me sometimes. Up here we have my Toyogawa, and if you remember, I did post a video about the direction of this Toyogawa, and I am moving it in that direction now. So I've got a little bit of wire here. The line comes up here, around here, and this is going to be the leader up here. This top section here is going to be removed. I'm hopefully going to do an air layer of that top section over the next coming years. Okay, so this here is my larch, and it's kind of ugly. There's lots of wire marks on it, and the growth on this one is very sparse. It doesn't grow very long extensions. I haven't had it grow long extensions in the previous 2 years, the 2 summers that I've had it. Down here we've got the top section of the air layering that I took last year. So this is an air layering of an air layering, and it looks to be growing out very healthily. Has lots of new growth. Next to that we have a hawthorn that I cut back this year, cut back very heavily. Another hawthorn next to that in a sort of slanting style. Then we've got an oak. I've had this oak for a long time, but it's still not got any direction. I cut it back a couple of years ago, and I'm trying to get some bifurcation happening on that one. Also need to thicken up the apex. This is a ugly Weigela. The roots on this are awful, but yeah, this was taken as a cutting about 3 or 4 years ago. Then my U section, these are all Yamadori, and I've got a bit of branching coming off here. As you can see, when it grows a leader, the needles become 360 degrees. They're not sort of two-dimensional like these ones. So the leader changes shape. If you have a look at this one here, you've got 2 potential leaders. This one was the original leader, and then it decided that this one was going to be the new leader. So those needles are a little bit random looking, but I put a little bit of wire on this one, and you know, I'm probably going to cut it back quite heavily in the future, but it's still just a little cutting essentially, even though they were taking Yamadori. This is another U, interesting direction shape. This is my silver birch that I collected Yamadori last year. Next to that we've got my hawthorn. I'm going to try and trim this into a sort of like a farmer's field hedgerow. So it's going to be a bit of a flat top, but that's the idea behind this one. This was a cutting that I took this year from a Weigela, and it was a heavy cutting. It was probably about 2 or 3 years worth of growth, and it's taken really nicely. So in the future I'm going to take slightly thicker cuttings. This is a Cotoneaster that I took as a cutting last year. It's growing on really nicely. Same with this one. This is my original bonsai. This is my Forsythia, and as you can see, it's got that nice shape to it. It's got 3 nice branches and then an apex. So I'm going to continue working this. I'm just going to work on the bifurcation and the thickening of the trunk, and I'm just going to keep growing it exactly the same way I'm growing it now. So cutting the leader off every year, it's coming on very nicely. It looks like a beautiful plant. This is another hawthorn as I took as a Yamadori. Came along with another tree that I collected actually. I'm not sure what this one is. This one was taken from my neighbour's garden. This one here, these two here, they are black thorns, and they were taken as cuttings last year, and they're coming on very nicely. I'm really looking forward to turning these into bonsai. Very nice looking trees. And finally, my other forsythia, just growing the leader out on this one. I've got a branch down at the bottom and an interesting movement that was created through clip and grow. So just cut one of the branches off and create a little bit of direction. Okay, so over here got the first of my elm trees, and as you can see, we're developing taper on this and direction. Also got a couple of low early branches. So that one's coming on nicely. This one also. So this is going to be the front here, something like this. And we've got some nice movement starting from the base. We've got a couple of interesting branches, and we've got a long leader. This will be cut down to the second leaf, and it'll mirror the bottom section of the tree. So it's got a sort of mirrors itself as part of its design. This is a blouse juniper cutting that I took last year, or maybe the year before. This is Weigela cuttings that I took this year. This is a Gold Coast juniper cutting. I've wired up, it rooted last year, wired up this year, took a couple of branches off. This is another larch that I grew from seed last year. This is the air layering from my Katsura, and yeah, I'm working on one half of this tree already. So whilst it's still in development, I've already earmarked a section of this plant as the main tree. So this part here is going to be removed, and this here is going to be the tree, and I've kept a couple of branches on there just to thicken it up, just to give it some character, just to start off its journey into becoming a bonsai. This is a cut-in from one of my maples, I can't remember which one. This is a larch, and I took the leader off this year, so I'm just going to grow these two shoots off, and we've got a nice trunk, and we're going to have some decent taper on that. This is my oak tree, and as you can see, it's coming on very nicely. It's got some movement in the trunk, and we've got a couple of branches and then a leader. Well, we've got 3 branches and a leader, but that top branch needs cutting back heavily. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it about here, and a branch will form on the underside of the branch that I cut back heavily. This is my Gold Coast juniper cut-in that I took this year, and it has rooted, and I took some of the foliage off just to give it a little bit of direction and movement. And yeah, I think these Gold Coast junipers are really nice. I'd recommend them for bonsai to anyone. This is an old gold juniper root, almost root cutting, and yeah, it's changed shape and direction a couple of times, but I think it's looking right at the moment. This is my heavily wired and contorted larch. It was a little bit more contorted and a little bit longer. Some of the growth was a little bit longer, but it needed reducing because it snapped slightly. Weigela, this was a cut-in probably 2-3 years ago. This was also a cut-in last year. This is from my Acer Campastre that I bought from Greenwood Bonsai, so this is the second tree. This is also a Greenwood Bonsai buy. This is my Trident Maple cut-in. I bought it from cut-in, and yeah, it's got a really nice long extension, and we're just building the trunk on this one. Here we go, we've got another Blouse Juniper cut-in. This one is a Forsythia cut-in that I took last year. Cotoneaster cut-in that I took last year. And this is a hazel that I dug up Yamadori last year. This is a Japanese maple cut-in, I can't remember which one. I was very surprised that it survived the year. This is a Blouse Juniper, and I wired this up last year and it is well rooted. This is a Toyogawa cut-in that I took from my Japanese import. More Gold Coast junipers, there's 2 in that pot. These are cuttings that I've taken this year. They have already rooted, such a good tree. Another yew, and this is getting trained in a cascade style. We've got a little tie wrap on there, just bending that round, giving it a little bit of shape. This is my Toyogawa juniper cutting that I took last year. Put a bit of wire on it, it's rooted very nicely, and I'm very happy that that has rooted. So I've tried a couple more Toyogawa cuttings. We'll see how they go. There's some more down here as well. Here we have the Blue Atlas cedar cutting, not cuttings, these are seeds that I grew, that I started this year, and I'm very happy with where they're at. My olive tree, and just prune it into shape, it's like a lollipop sort of tree. Then we've got my magnolia, I think it's an Estelle, something like that. Yeah, I'm working on this. I'm going to turn it more into a bonsai this year, and I've been working on it over the past few years. This is my Gold Coast, or no, Old Gold juniper. This is a procumbent, and what I find is best with this prostrate sort of tree is to cut back to the buds that are facing upwards. It's sort of the opposite to what I do on the lateral branches on a maple. So I pick an upward branch or bud. It's not really a bud, but it's an upward branch, and I'll prune back to that. It makes it easier to wire in the future instead of choosing lateral or downward facing buds. So my Blue Atlas cedar. So yeah, I decided to cut my losses and remove the whole top section of my Blue Atlas cedar. I'm going to deadwood this top section, as you can see, and peel this away. I'm going to make it look a little bit more interesting over the coming years, and I'm going to work away at this bottom section and create that into a tree. It's going to tilt maybe 15-20 degrees this way, so it's going to look like this, and this is going to swoop off to the right. This is going to be the front, and I've got a nice thick, what I've got to look at is the fact that I've got a nice thick trunk to start with, and yeah, we'll style that bottom section up over the coming years, and that should turn into a very nice looking bonsai. It's also got a graft down here, and the graft, there is a tiny bit of inverse taper, but it's barely noticeable. Otherwise it's a great tree. I think it's going to look really cool in the future. Blouse juniper, this has looked like it's been dying for the past year or so. This here was the air layering attempt of my blue atlas cedar. It did not survive. There was probably 1 or 2, maybe 3, 4 roots on this when I removed it. I was getting impatient with it, to be totally honest with you, and I planted it up, and as I was planting it up, those roots were very brittle, and I ended up snapping some of those roots, so I didn't hold much hope for it. This is my Gold Coast juniper. I've got quite a few of these because I've been taking cuttings from them, and I really like the way they look. This needs a little bit of work, it needs trimming, pruning, styling, but I'm leaving it to grow on a little bit more. I've taken the leader off, I've got a new leader on it now, so we've added a little bit of extra taper. These are the few surviving seeds that I planted this year. It's been a chaotic year. I've been here, there and everywhere, and yeah, there was times where I didn't water my plants and I feel quite guilty, so some of those died. Here we've got my Weigella in full flower, and yeah, it bushes out like this all the time, and again, it is definitely time to prune this back. I might do a full video on it, it depends how I feel about it. Okay, so here I've got my I said that it was an apple tree last time I did a walkthrough, but it's actually a pear tree, a conference pear, and it probably needs a little bit of water. Here's a new addition to my collection. It's a Mugo pine, and yeah, it needs growing out. I need to put a little bit of wire on the apex, and yeah, I'm just going to grow that one out. Back to my Gold Coast junipers up here. This one is, well, it's very, very bushy. It's very alive, full of energy, full of vigor, beautiful trees, and the trunk has come on so well over the last 2 years. It has really bulked out. It's doing really well. And another one. Then I've got my Chinensis, or Juniper Chinensis here. I put a lot of wire on this. I needed to get some shape into it as early as possible because it was growing way too straight. There's a few cracks, a few issues with the bends that I've made, but it is growing on very nicely and I'm very happy with it. Here we've got my this is my Cedar Deodara. Absolutely love this tree. It's so beautiful. And yeah, I've been working on this lower branch because this branch is slightly thinner than this one, and I want this one thicker than that one, so I'm just leaving this to grow, letting it grow its extensions and just growing it out in general. And I'm also growing the leader on this tree, so we're just gonna see how it goes. But absolutely love this tree. So that's a little roundup of where I am with my trees at the moment, and I'm very happy with where all my trees currently stand, because they look at this crazy section here. Just this one long leader and then all this growth on the top. That's insane, and that'll all get cut off over winter. But yeah, very happy with the direction and progress of all my trees, and I'll do some individual videos on some of these trees in the future.